Welcome to our weekly show for the National Association of Independent Medical Practices. You can find us at NAIMP.org. NAIMP is an organization focused on helping independent medical practices become more successful by providing innovative discussions, networking with like-minded professionals, and opportunities for growth, education, and increased revenue. Check out our website today at naimp.org.
Hello, and welcome to today's show. I'd like to introduce our guest speaker for today, Colin Receuver. He is the founder and CEO of SmartBox Marketing. And even though SmartBox was incorporated in 2001, all of this began inside of Colin during his childhood. His experience helping dentists even is before the internet. It goes back to when he was a 7-year-old boy helping in his father's dental office filing for a nickel apiece, filing records. And he worked almost every day in his father's office and then spent almost every night on the family's compact computer, learning how to design and code websites and learning all about the internet. Now, even though his dad is a dentist, Colin's mom was a top sales executive with a Fortune 100 healthcare organization. So it was only natural for him to want to monetize his interest in websites and his interest in dentists and healthcare. So all of these loves come together with SmartBox Web Marketing. And when Colin's not working with clients, he's a voracious reader of nonfiction, especially books on marketing. He loves to scuba dive shipwrecks and collect shot glasses. And Colin, we'd like to welcome you today. And where are you coming from? Where are we recording today?
I hail from a little town called Floyd's Knobs, Indiana. Nobody's ever heard of it, so I just generally tell people I'm in the Louisville, Kentucky area.
Oh, very interesting. Well, welcome. We're happy to have you today on the show, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, hey, thanks for having me here, Shirley. I appreciate your time. So I'm Colin Receuver, as Shirley introduced, and I'm the founder and CEO of SmartBox Web Marketing. We're a marketing firm that works exclusively with dentists to help them with their marketing to attract more and better patients. Now, I'm not a dentist. My father's a dentist. He's been in private practice since 1981, and that was really the testing bed for all of our marketing systems that we've developed over the past couple decades. Now, sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction, and this is my family up here. In the bottom left, Dr. Ron, brother, sister, and stepmom. My son Benjamin in the bottom right with the camera. Top right is my wife and my 6-month-old Emma, and then the top left is what some consider to be a little strange. This is my mom's side of the family, and up here in the top left is my uncle, Tom Butt, my wife and boy and me, my grandma, first cousin, my mom over here on the far right side. And you may have heard of our family name, or probably what I would say the best thing that I'm not known for that most people might know or have heard of before is my family's drugstore, believe it or not. And I guess, to put myself into my grandpa's shoes and imagine being a World War II Navy medic coming back from Iwo Jima and fighting in the Pacific. You've got a last name of Butt, and you're a pharmacist. What do? Well, you open up a drugstore, Butt Drugs. Still running to this day, opened in 1952 in Corden, Indiana. So if you are looking for an I Love Butt Drugs t-shirt, honk if you love Butt Drugs bumper sticker, it's been on Ellen DeGeneres, and they've got a really hilarious commercial out on TV. You ought to check it out. It is a real place, and it is my grandpa that started it. But jumping back to marketing business, this is a copy of a screenshot, actually, of my LinkedIn profile. And this is what people say about me, what they say I'm good at. And this always really interests me because everybody on this sheet here, almost overwhelmingly, has chosen different aspects of what they feel I'm qualified at or I'm good at: SEO, web marketing, mobile marketing, web design, online marketing, social media, content marketing, blogging, all these different things. But as a marketer, the thing that I feel that I'm best at is what the arrow points to: marketing strategy. And throughout this presentation, I want to highlight to you the differences between the tools and the results. The tools are what you use to get the results, but the tools by themselves aren't the results. And a lot of these items on here are the tools themselves: SEO, pay-per-click, content, social media. Those are the things you use to get the patients. But I'm going to talk to you about how not to judge yourself based on those tools alone. There's going to be information overload here in the next few minutes, and what the studies show is 20% of what you see you're going to remember. 30% of what you hear you're going to remember, but 80% of what you do. Now, there's not a lot to do here during this presentation for you, so I really want you to focus your time on going through the facts as I'm going through them, not trying to jot things down, not trying to remember all the information, because I want to make it easy for you to consume and digest this information. If you want a copy of this presentation, along with a free copy of my book, you can simply text ATTRACT to that phone number, and I'll send it over to you in your email. And that's the copy of my book that you can get a free copy of, texting ATTRACT to that phone number.
And Colin, for those that are listening, I don't want to interrupt, but for those that are listening on the podcast, if you could go back and read the number out loud. Those that will be able to see the slides will go to naimp.org, but those that are listening on iTunes, could you go back and give them the phone number?
Oh, sure. So the phone number is 502-442-2513. Just text the word ATTRACT, ATTRACT, to 502-442-2513. So why do dentists not attract the patients you want? I want to kind of set the bar here in space for what a successful marketing campaign looks like. If you're an average marketer, you're spending an average amount, and you're in an average market area, you're not in a super city, you're not in a in between two towns in a little rural town. If you've been online in an average market area with an average campaign for 6 months, you ought to be able to have your phone ringing, 50 calls a month coming in. If you've been online for 12 months, marketing online, doing SEO, pay-per-click, you've got a great website that's actually converting patients, you've got nurture campaigns, all these different aspects going, there's no reason you shouldn't have 100 phone calls a month coming in. Now, if you're in a big market area, if you're in a Dallas or a Los Angeles or a Chicago, that equals a bigger pool. You're in a bigger pond with more fish in it to pull from. You're going to get more results. If you're in a market area that has a very high patient-to-doctor ratio, you've got 2,000 people for every dentist in your area, you're going to see more results. Or if you're an aggressive marketer and you're dominating or taking a larger share of the medium, the advertising in your area, you're of course going to see more results. What I see a lot of times with dentists that aren't getting results of their marketing, I talk to a lot of dentists, and there's common reasons that I often hear that they're telling me, hey, this isn't working for me, I'm not growing, I'm not getting new patients, how do I make this work? Common reasons I hear for just lack of general success in the practice are, first off, lack of new patients. New patients are the fuel that's going to drive any practice. You want to grow, you want to expand, you want to make more money or have more freedom, you've got to be able to have the new patient flow to bring in an associate, to scale back your time. You've got to have the ability to have the new patients coming in, so you have the work to do. Corporate dentistry takeover. It's a big concern right now. There's a lot of Aspens and Mortensons and big corporate dentists coming into town, and they've got scale and numbers. It's very hard to compete on price with the Walmart that's coming into town. Ineffective marketing systems. All too often I see, and this is going to be one of the topics of today's presentation, is event-based marketing rather than systems-based marketing. And I don't want to jump into that too now because I want to talk more about that here in a couple minutes. I talk to a lot of dentists that aren't attracting the right kinds of patients. They get patients that are coming in saying, I only want what my insurance will pay for. Is my insurance going to cover that? They're just not the quality kind of value-based patients that they're looking for. And then I also hear from a lot of dentists that are working 6 days a week. They have no freedom. They're missing their kids' soccer games and their daughter's dance recitals, and they're not having the personal life or the personal enjoyment. They're not getting that out of all the hard work that they're putting into their practice. So there's all kinds of different reasons that I hear that doctors and dentists aren't happy with where they're at. And really to look at marketing from a top-down approach, marketing is a very simple concept. Marketing really hasn't changed over the past 100 years. Marketing is a combination of three things: message, audience, and timing. You got to put the right message, the right offer, in front of the right people or the right demographic at the right time when they are wanting to or in need of the message that you're giving them. And if you hit those three aspects, that's what's going to be successful. That's going to be successful online, offline, marketing 50 years ago or marketing today or marketing in 50 years. It's those three things that are critical to hit. Now, what's interesting about marketing on the web is it's fundamentally different than other marketing that's ever been done in the past. And there's two primary reasons. First off, it's what I call active versus passive. In the past, you had newspaper, radio, TV, billboard, magazine, all these different broadcast mediums that were out there, even direct mail, some of which are still working today, some of which don't work, such as the Yellow Pages by and large. And with all of those mediums, you were able to define the message that you wanted to send. You were always able to define the creative that goes into that advertising. The audience, by and large, who that message gets shown to, with the exception of direct mail, was not a choice of yours. The TV station, the radio station, the newspaper, they define the circulation. The Yellow Pages sets the distribution routes and who's going to get that Yellow Page book. You didn't have control over the audience. Timing, yeah, there is some control at various stages. You can control what time of the day you run your ads on TV. You can control what day of the week your newspaper ads run on TV, when you're sending that direct mail out. But you're controlling what you're putting out there. You're not responding to a need in the marketplace. And with web-based marketing, this is not broadcast. This is not blasting stuff out there for people to wait and see if they're going to respond to it. You are responding to an immediate need of somebody's online. Your advertisements aren't just floating around in cyberspace waiting for somebody to pick up the newspaper and see them. People are out there searching in your local market area for dentists right now. And if you're optimized, if you're doing things correctly and you're showing up in front of them, that's not a passive person. That's an active person. They're engaging, like Alec Baldwin said in Glengarry Glen Ross, man don't walk on the lot lest he wants to buy. And that's what's going on in the online world in today's world. Now, in the online world, things evolve pretty rapidly. What worked today, what works yesterday, or what is going to work tomorrow are probably going to be different. But I don't want to give the impression that it's the shiny object syndrome. It's always chasing after that new thing out there, that new gadget or gizmo, because it's not. The core principles of how you market your practice are the same as they were 50 years ago. And I compare it to, you go out and you buy that new shiny Corvette or that Lamborghini or that Ferrari. You don't have to go back to the license branch and get a new driver's license. You still know how the brake and the gas and the steering wheel work. You might need to be a little bit lighter on the gas pedal, but you're still licensed to drive the car. You're perfectly capable of driving it. And that's the evolution of marketing, in that, mail order, Yellow Pages, today 95% of your patients are going to search online, but that doesn't mean that you have to chase after this new thing. It's just what's working today. You have to adapt your marketing to fit where people are looking right now. That's the important thing, is where are people looking for a dentist at, or any local services. It's in the online world. And with the online world, like I mentioned earlier in the presentation, be careful of focusing on the tools versus the end result. SEO, pay-per-click, Google #1 rankings, Facebook likes, Twitter followers, all these things are not results. Those are tools. Results are patients in your chair. Results are phone calls of new patients coming into your office. Your dentists are not Amazon.com. They're not selling widgets. They're not tracking clicks and hits. Now, I'm not saying that #1 rankings and traffic on your website are not an important step to getting new patients. Obviously, if you're going to get phone calls from your website, people have to be landing on your website, and for people to land on your website, they have to be seeing your website. But this is the difference between event-based marketing and systematic and system-based marketing. The event-based marketer does SEO or pay-per-click, and they've got some website out there, some cookie-cutter template website that's not humanizing, it's not personal, it's not warm and fuzzy, it's cold. It is a commodity-based website, I call it, where you have a buffet list of services. There's no video on it. There's no compelling offer. There's no reason for them to call you. So you do SEO or pay-per-click or marketing on this website, you get a bunch of traffic to your website, or maybe you don't get any traffic to it, and then you say, oh, web marketing doesn't work because you got no patients from it. Well, you're driving them to a website that doesn't convert. You can't do the SEO or the pay-per-click event and then assume the whole funnel doesn't work. You've got to have the system in place. You've got to think about moving these people through each step. You've got to get in front of them. You've got to convert them. You've got to follow up with them, and then you've got to track that it's actually working. Leverage the tools to get the results. Think of it like you're building your dream house, your lake house. The carpenter walks in. You're not going to judge the quality of the wainscoting or the trim or the coffers on the ceiling by the kind of hammer he carries. You're going to judge the quality of your dream home by how he swings it and the skill at which he uses that hammer. And by the same token, don't assume because you have a #1 ranking or you've got 1,000 Facebook likes that that's doing you any good, because it's not. So what are your results? All too often I see dentists that do these clicks, spend the money, they hear videos are the next frontier, they run out and buy a flip cam, they run out and do Facebook marketing, they get all these Google first page rankings, but did the phone ring? That's what you've got to set your goal based on, is your phone has to ring. And looking at the Venn diagram, message, audience, timing, it's very important to hit the center of it if you want to get the phone to ring. So how do you get your phone to ring? What do you do? Well, you go out and get more continuing education, you buy more cool toys, you get more training, you get better equipment, you upgrade things in your office, right? Well, this is what we call, when I see dentists that do this, I say that they have a wee-wee problem. And what I mean by that is it's a we do this and we do that and we're so great. And this is actually a direct mail card that I got in the mail from a local dentist. And this is a perfect example of a big wee-wee problem. This dentist, this is the whole front of the postcard with this panoramic x-ray on here. Now, I'm not sure what you guys hear is a bunch of dentists looking at this. I know I see a few fillings, maybe packed. As a consumer, I see something black and white and scary looking. This is not going to attract new patients. And the important thing to realize is that when you're trying to get your patient's attention, you have to stop thinking like a dentist, which is pretty much impossible for a dentist to do. It's nothing against dentists, but for all of us to step aside from our profession that we're so passionate about, it's always very difficult because we all love what we do. And anytime you love what you do, it's only natural to express. You want to share all how you do it and what you do. But realize, it's like the story of the plumber, right? A pipe in your ceiling burst. Water's pouring out onto your floor. And you call up the plumber and you say, Joe, my office is being flooded. My house is being flooded. You got to come out here and fix it. And Joe on the other line goes, okay, I can come out and fix it. Tell me, should I bring a hex fitting or a P fitting or an iron fitting or what kind of pipe fitting do I need to bring to fix it? Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'd probably hang up on Joe because I don't know anything about plumbing. I don't know what kind of fitting he needs. And that's the mentality of your patients coming in. They don't know anything about what they need. They are looking to you as their trusted advisor, as the professional to address their perceived problems. And that's what's important here. It's not the problems you think they have. It's not what you do or the procedures you offer. It's the patient's perceived problem. It's speaking the language of the patients. They're having this conversation that's already happening in their head. They're having this conversation. They can't chew. They can't eat. They've got pain. They're not confident. They can't smile. They can't bite into an apple. That's the perceived problem. And when you align your message or marketing with what the patient's perceived problem is, your message is going to infinitely resonate more with their problems, and they're going to look to you as the solution to that. So what do patients want to know? What are the problems and questions in their head? Well, there's three big ones. Is it going to hurt? How much does it cost? And is it going to be done right? Now, you notice none of these three questions have anything to do with your degree, your continuing ed, your certifications, what kind of handpiece you have, or if you've got a new x-ray machine or not. Now, those things are important, just like you want to test drive the car before you buy it, just like you want to do the home inspection before you buy it. But the logical things, the final acceptance, that the judgment to move forward, the validation, I call it, is the last step. The first step's where you're pulling all these patients in, you're getting their attention. Before they get into your office, these are the three concerns they have. Is it going to hurt? I had a past bad dental experience. I don't want to go back to a dentist that'll hurt. How much is it going to cost? Man, I hope they can make this affordable for me. Things are tight right now. And is it going to be done right? Geez, that crown I got a few years ago, I had to go back 3 times to get it adjusted. Nobody wants to go through that again. So when you're building your marketing, don't focus on what you do. Focus on the problems you fix, and focus on getting people to see you as a likable dentist. And I don't mean likable as in getting likes on Facebook. You're not going to find a lot of new patients on any social media network. Patients are looking for a dentist that they can know, like, and trust. I mean, you get a patient to like you and trust you, case accepted. Let's move on and get the work done. I mean, that's 90% of case acceptance. Patients want to trust. They want to trust. That's why they're in your office. Like Alec Baldwin said, man, don't walk onto the lot unless he wants to buy. They're in your office because they're validating the decision that they've already made. They've already looked you up online. They've already checked out your reputation, watched your videos, looked at your website. They come in. They're validating what they think is already the right decision. They already know you and a little bit like you. Now they're in there to make sure they completely trust you. And if you don't let down their expectations, they're going to move forward with treatment. And there's been a lot of change in how consumers go through this process of knowing, liking, and trusting you over the past just 10 years. Let's go back just to 2005. And, you look at the studies that were done, and patients had 1 or 2 sources of information that they would reference before they would come in for that free consult, before they would come in to get to meet you. It's what's called the moment of truth. They are stimulated. They see a TV ad. They open up the yellow pages. They come in and see you, and now they've had their experience. They're happy or sad. This is how decision-making has shifted in just the last 10 years. Go back to 2005. You had no videos online. There were no autoresponders. There was no email marketing systems. There was no phone call tracking. There were no mobile phones in 2005. Now, there were cell phones. If you wanted the number to your local dentist, you could call 411 and talk to the operator and get their number. There were no review sites. There was no local search. Google was in its infancy a decade ago. YouTube was hardly non-existent. So, you look at the studies that have come out here in the past few years. Google's ZMOT study, the zero moment of truth. People now reference 10.4 sources of information before they make a decision. They're looking at your reviews. They're watching your videos. They're talking to your patients. They're checking you out online. They're looking at your website. They're reading your emails. They're doing all these things. They're building the trust and getting that wow experience that 10 years ago they couldn't get. They had to come into your office 10 years ago to get this wow experience to know, like, and trust you. Now they're doing it online. Now they're coming into your office only to validate the decision that they've already made. So how do you interface? How do you build trust with patients really before you ever get a chance to ever meet them or talk to them? Well, that's what I want to talk to you about here in detail today. I want to show you what a patient attraction system, not an event, but a system looks like to take people through this entire process. And I get the question a lot, Colin, man, this looks like the new shiny object. And I say, no, it's not the new shiny object. It's human psychology. This is how people think and make decisions. And if you're not familiar with, or you haven't read about Robert Cialdini, Cialdini is Cialdini. I strongly urge you to go buy his book. You can get it on Amazon. It's like $12. Influence is the name of the book. Phenomenal book on human psychology and how you persuade people to see you as the expert, to choose you as the dentist of their needs. So the 4 pillars of patient attraction, we break all this marketing, all this complexity down into 4 pillars. The first one is visibility. And remember, all this is under the concept of the right message to the right person at the right time. Now, visibility comes in many ways online. First, there's SEO. And, I would love to talk in depth about all of these topics and all the visibility. But to respect your time and mine, I'm going to quickly go through a lot of these more hands-on items such as organic SEO and just cover these from kind of the 10,000-foot view. Organic SEO, you're going to get the most patients out of. This is also the area that when you hear guys tell you, oh, it takes 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, this is the area they're talking about to get a strong organic ranking. This is the oldest of Google's 3 major search engines, and still the one that's mostly trusted the most. Now, a lot of that's not very interesting, so we're going to move on to some more fun stuff here, talking about marketing and getting your face out there in the online world. Video on your website. Forrester Research came out with a study a few years ago. Websites with video are 53 times more likely to have a first page ranking on Google. Marketing Land had a great study and found that 62% of Google searches, Google is including the videos in the search results. So if you optimize your videos, your video can take a position in the search results. And of the videos that Google's showing, remember, Google owns you. 80% of the videos that Google's showing are from YouTube. Groupon, be wary of trying to be the lowest bidder. The corporate dental chains have forever won on price. You simply can't match the scalability of a corporate dental practice. Places like Groupon are going to have, be volume through the door. It's going to be people that are looking for the next deal. People looking for your deal, they're not going to stop looking for the deal. They're going to keep looking for the next deal. Very low retention. It's what I call the mirror effect. It's what Cialdini calls his principle of likability. People want to be around people they deem to be like themselves. It's human psychology. People want to be around people that are like them, that they perceive to be like them. If you are out there on Groupon sites advertising the lowest price, by the same token, you are going to repel the patients that are looking for value, that are looking for great service. Pay-per-click. This is my grandpa and me probably 30 years ago. And what grandpa always told me about fishing is you got to go fishing when the fish are biting. Now, you can go fishing anytime. But if you want to catch fish, you got to go fishing when the fish are biting. And this is like pay-per-click. 25 to 40% of new patients we see coming from a well-structured web marketing system are coming from the pay-per-click. But it's very seasonal. It's very time-critical. You want to run your pay-per-click when the fish are biting. You don't want to let it run all the time. You don't want to let it run every week of the year. There's certain times when it's good versus bad. Now, there's also one very, very critical component a lot of dentists don't realize about pay-per-click, and that is you have to optimize for pay-per-click the same way you optimize for SEO. Google has what they call quality score, and this is a measure of relevancy between the keywords you're bidding on and the landing page that you're driving people to. If you have a quality score of 1 on your Google AdWords campaign, you will incur a 400% surcharge per click. Google will give you the Google tax, 400% that cost per click. Now, if you have a quality score of 10, if Google says you are super relevant, Google's going to discount your cost per click by 50%. This is a real world scenario here of how quality score can literally just suck the life out of your Google AdWords campaign. 4 advertisers bidding 4 different prices with 4 different quality scores. And like I said, if you want to text a track to the phone number 502-442-2513, this slide will be in there, and you can see the formula of Google's for yourself. For the 4th advertiser here that has a quality score of 1 to get to the #1 position on pay-per-click, he would have to pay, in this example, $20.01 per click, compared to advertiser number 1 paying $1.61 per click. $1.61 versus $20.01, only because of the difference in the quality score. Your ranking and your quality score determine how much you pay per click. Keep that in mind when you're doing your pay-per-click. The big red flag I give guys is if whoever's doing your pay-per-click, whether it's yourself or somebody in your office or some agency, if they don't have access to your website, or they're not consistently modifying your website and updating it and optimizing it, your quality score is probably very poor. The same with SEO. It's a moving target you've got to stay on front of. So how do you maximize pay-per-click? Well, first off, your pay-per-click manager has website access, super relevant landing pages, calls to action. What I say is it's too expensive to market to people twice. Don't pay twice to get in front of somebody with pay-per-click. We've got awesome technologies that I want to cover here in the next couple slides that show you how you can stay in front of these people literally forever without paying another dime or a significant amount of money to stay in front of them. Advertising lures, automatic follow-up, and retargeting. So how do you dominate Google? Well, there's the local search, one of the 3 major search engines. Citation consistency, Google AdWords, YouTube videos, fresh, unique content is key for good SEO. If you've got blogs and you're updating your website, but that same content is being put on 1,000 other websites out there, it's not doing you any good, and it's pointless. It's not giving you SEO value. Organic listings, things like retargeting. You can follow people around on the internet. If you've ever been to Amazon and you looked at a new chainsaw, and then that chainsaw advertisement followed you around the internet, you can do that same thing with your patients. Something that's not known a lot about Facebook, a really cool retargeting feature through Facebook I'm going to cover here in the next couple slides as well. So let's go on to the second pillar, conversion. What do you do with this visibility once people have found you, once you've gotten in front of people? Well, top website questions I get. Let's start here, because the website is the first thing that people are going to see once you get their visibility. What are the big no-nos of websites? Well, don't have multiple websites. Multiple websites were a tactic we used a few years ago. They've really fallen by the wayside with a lot of updates that Google has made, and they're not effective anymore. You've got old websites floating around out there. Merge them in with the new ones. Despite what some marketing companies may say, because they don't want to lose your business, you do not lose your SEO, you do not lose your ranking power when you go to a new website. If that was the case, Amazon wouldn't be anywhere near the top of Google, because Amazon changes their website every other week. You do not lose ranking, you do not lose links, you do not lose SEO when you upgrade websites. Merge your websites together, combine their ranking power. It's like Transformers. You combine together and you become more powerful. Don't have Adobe Flash on your website. It's an old technology. Scrolling, rotating banners. Many studies over the years, the big banners in the middle of the home pages have shown to really kill results. Reverse contrast, dark background with light text kills results. Wrong education or over education. Don't have clinical videos on your website. Nobody wants to see how you prep for a crown. Don't over educate them or try to educate them with the wrong information. Give them what they want. Remember, market to their perceived problem. Your website is a sales tool. It's not the place for, post-op treatment instructions on root canals and implants. That's not moving people down your sales funnel to tell them that they might need a prescription antibiotic or a prescription painkiller for a few days after treatment. That's the wrong education. Video on your website. Websites with video have a tremendous advantage, but what's the first impression that your website gives off? All too often I see doctors that run out and buy a camera and they shoot their own video. And, it's like your outdoor sign on your building. You probably didn't go up to Home Depot and get a sheet of plywood and, create your own outdoor sign with stencils and spray paint. By the same token, your website is your first impression. If it's not knocking their socks off, they're not coming in your door. And look at Cialdini's weapons of persuasion, the principles of likability, the principles of social proof. These are very, very powerful principles to implement in the marketing of your practice. Patients don't want to come in and meet you for a free consult if your website doesn't impress them. Your website is that new wow experience, where consumers are validating their decision when they come in to meet with you. They're not making the decision. You don't get a second chance if your website is bad these days. So why leverage video? Well, ComScore, people stay 2 minutes longer on your website. Moz, posts with video attract 3 times the number of clicks. Forrester and Marketing Land, I already covered those stats. Websites with video are 53 times more likely to be on the first page of Google. Let's move on to follow-up, keeping in touch with these prospects. How do you keep your name in front of them until the time is right? Well, social media is a big way. You can do reactivation recalls. The one cool feature that a lot of people don't know exists on Facebook is you can take a list of your patients, say patients that haven't been into your office in 12 months, and you can upload that list to Facebook and specifically target those patients to do reactivation recalls to show them your advertisements. If you've got patients that have come in and not accepted treatment for some specific procedure, you can upload that list to Facebook, and they can specifically target those people. Now, with social media, you're not going to see a lot of new patients. I would encourage you to not be posting stuff every day or be paying somebody to post every day on your Facebook page. It's just a waste of time and money. Less than 5% of the people that like you and follow you are actually going to see your post. This is the way Facebook works these days. But what are the pros? Well, you can do paid Facebook marketing. You can do specific targeting via custom audiences, which is what I just told you about. You can also do retargeting via a third-party service like Perfect Audience. Fantastic service that you can do retargeting with, which means your ads are going to follow people around on the internet. Now, another way you can keep your name in front of people is to use what I call an advertising lure. An advertising lure is something you can have on your website that gets people to opt in, to ask you for more information. So let's say you want to really focus on Invisalign cases. Write a free report about how great Invisalign is, how you can have the smile of your dreams in 6 to 24 months, in as little as 6 months. Get them to give you their email address. Now, you can run an email campaign on them. Once or twice a month, maybe 3 times a month if you want to be aggressive. Drop an email to them, telling them, reminding them of the benefits of Invisalign. You've got to, the first step is capturing their information, giving them something in exchange for their email address. Free reports, ebooks, video emails you can send out to people once they've opted in. Some doctors we're writing hard copy printed books for them and shipping those out, because a hard copy book is going to have a tremendous lifespan on their bookshelf or on their desk or at their home. Your email might have a 24-hour lifespan in their inbox. But if you want to catch the big fish, if you want to catch patients that are going for elective case dentistry, that want the big cases, you've got to be educating them with the information they want. So how do we catch the big fish? I went shark fishing down in the Keys of Florida a couple months ago. There's a picture of me catching an 8-foot shark. But for those of you that are watching the video, how do you keep your name in front of these people? Well, you do it through automated systems. You can't be sending out 1,000 emails a day to people and having your staff tracking this. There's automated systems for pennies and dollars a day that you can do all this stuff for you. Automate sending emails, postcards, text. Think of the Demand Force, the Lighthouse 360. Think of what that's doing for your people that are already your patients. Now take that same concept and let's do it for people that aren't your patients yet. So why should you do it? What's the value to you? Well, National Sales Executive Association says that 90% of your sales are going to close after 7 to 12 touches. The Google Zmont study, people want 10.4 sources of information. The amount of information that you can send to somebody, let me give you a quick scenario. You get one person a day to request information from your website, and you send that person 2 emails a month as follow-up. Once every 2 weeks, you send them an email follow-up. Not too much, especially for the expectation. When they opt in, you tell them, we're going to send you 1 email every 2 weeks. Maybe you send out a monthly e-newsletter. 1 person a day, 2 emails a month, and an e-newsletter, your same newsletter you probably mail out. At the end of the first year, that means you sent out 13,000 emails. By the end of the 3rd year, if you do that for 3 years and you capture just 1 person a day, at the end of 3 years, you've sent out 77,760 emails. I mean, I know offices that have been in practice for 30 years and never sent out 75,000, 78,000 emails. It's all about touch points, staying in touch, keeping in front of these people. So the final pillar, tracking. You've got to know that the first 3 pillars are working for you. So how do you track it? You got to know your results. You got to look at the phone calls. Don't focus on the metrics, focus on the results. Phone calls and the proverbial butts in the chairs. Listen to the calls, track your marketing efforts, watch the trends, watch the return, and know which marketing effort is producing the phone calls for you. So I want to leave you with a couple case studies here to look and see what these system-based patient attraction systems can do for a practice. The first is a dentist we worked with in Salem, Oregon, and the story of him growing his practice 400% from $800,000 to $3.2 million in just 6 years. For a copy of that case study, it's available at PIOCCasestudy.com, and PIOC is spelled P-I-O-C-H, casestudy.com. The second case study is my dad's own practice. And the story of, Ron's big thing is he didn't want to sell. He didn't want to feel like a salesman. And I want to talk about, or give you the opportunity to see the systems that we put into place in his practice, growing his practice from $900,000 to over $2 million that we did without selling. And the URL to get a copy of that is doublecollectionswithoutselling.com. Doublecollectionswithoutselling.com. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, if you want to get a copy of all the slides here that are on this presentation, a copy of my notes, as well as a free copy of my book, Attract More Patients in the Next 6 Months Than the Past 6 Years, text the word ATTRACT to 502-442-2513. 502-442-2513, and you can get a copy of everything here that you've seen, or if you're listening in on the podcast, a copy of what you haven't seen yet. So Shirley, do you have any questions from your viewers, or anything that you're confused about, or any more information that I can offer to you guys, or provide value to you guys
Well,
with?
it's good stuff. It took me a few seconds to get unmuted. Really interesting information, and we also have some doctors listening, and even though that's not your focus, I know that they also got some really good marketing information, but I know that your main focus is dentists, which is about half of our listeners. Really good information, and we appreciate your expertise for today, and we'll survey our listeners and hopefully have you back in the next couple of months with maybe focusing on another topic, or drilling down into something that they would like more information on.
Well, I appreciate your time having me on with your listeners and doctors and dentists today, and I hope that you guys, the listeners and you, have found it valuable, that you can put some of these ideas and concepts into practical application and really use them to grow their practice.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much.